Business.
There's Jen. I was just thinking of her.
Evening.
There you are.
I'm here.
Hey, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm
Okay.
good. It was like I was thinking about you like 2 seconds before you clicked on. I was
Oh,
thinking,
well, there you go.
yeah, I said, oh, where's our feature?
She's here.
There you are.
That's weird. I'm deciding. There's my face, and then there's my back. I'm part of the.
Now, I have one special request.
Uh-oh.
What?
There's one piece I'm wondering if I could have you project it.
That's a Char question. So
I'm not sure the best mechanism to do that.
If you like we did last time, just share screen it.
I just share a screen.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, I'll get her to do that for you. Make sure it's up there.
Okay. The reason is because there's one piece that's an erasure poem.
Okay. Oh yeah. So
You know what I mean?
Yep. So it looks better to be able to see.
Yeah, it'll be a lot easier for people to follow and understand where my hesitation beats are if they see it on the screen.
Yeah, so just do the share screen thing and Char is going to activate that, I'm sure, for you, and it's all good.
She's
Perfect.
amazing.
Hi, Jen. It's Char. Can you go
Hi,
ahead
Char.
and try doing your screen share?
Yeah.
Go ahead and test it now.
Okay.
You've done it before, right?
I have
Okay, great.
1 second. Just a minute. I need to maximize this before I do anything. Share screen. And yeah, I'm not in my chair just at the minute. There, you should be able to see this.
Yeah,
Yep.
perfect.
Okay, and it's down here. Whoops. There.
Yeah,
You
perfect.
you see it there, right? Is that big enough if it's just this big?
It's big enough for everyone on Zoom now.
Yeah, I think you should maximize the screen and actually increase the font size if you can.
Okay,
Like
let me just,
you're in Word, aren't you?
I'm in Word.
Yeah, just increase the whole view of it
Um,
and fill up the window.
Yeah, take it up to 200 maybe, eh? 200%.
try that. How's that?
That's better. Can you read that from there, Vicki and Dan? Yeah, they're nodding. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, good. That's how big I'll make it. I'll just have to scroll a little bit, but that's fine.
Yeah, beautiful.
Wonderful. Thank you much. I'll stop sharing.
Yeah.
I knew we had the technology.
Well, we just trust Char, she's a whiz.
Okay, how do I don't know. I've done stuff. I don't know how to get everybody on. Hello, Peter.
Hey, there he is.
They switched stuff around. I'm confused now.
You're muted there, Peter.
Peter's muted. He's been muted.
Leslie in Germany, can you say hello? Can we hear your voice?
Where did
Germany's in the house.
Yeah, she was there a minute ago.
I just saw, oh,
She's
no,
disappeared now.
you can see her.
There we are.
Hello, Peter. How are you?
Speaking in English. I'm fine. How are you all?
We're very good, very good.
Good.
Is this? I guess this is gallery view, right? I don't know. I'm not confused.
Is Mark going to make it tonight? Do you know? Peter?
Mark's still
Mark
he's in the out of the country, isn't he?
He's in Scotland.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, Scotland.
He's in Scotland. I don't think he's gonna be zooming in.
Ah,
Not that he couldn't, but I don't think that he's going to.
No. He's never said anything to me, so they wanted to zoom in.
Okay.
let's hope he.
They ought to be back next month.
Hope we took the high road, not the low road.
Good
I
evening.
asked him that question, which one he was taking, and he brushed me off. He wouldn't say.
I take the high road, you take the low road.
From here, I guess the high road would be flying and the low road would be a boat or something. So, yeah.
There's it's a song, right?
Yeah.
Out there. I take the high road.
Yeah. And I'll get to Scotland.
Me and my true love will never meet again.
Scotland before whatever or something like
On
that.
the bonny banks of Loch Lomond.
Yeah. Good evening, Blaine. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Good, good, good. Good to see you again.
Yes.
How's your month been?
Not too bad.
Good. I've forgotten now what part of the country you're in.
I'm in Ottawa.
In Ottawa?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, not quite fall colors yet there, but getting ready for it, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we've had a very nice summery 2 weeks, but it's starting to get cooler now.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, we did as well. And now the rain has started, and I looked at the forecast and it looks like every day for the next 5 days. So I think fall right on time with the equinox.
I'm in the mood.
Hey, Robbie, how are you doing? Good, good. Yes.
That's a good thing. And that's a good thing. I know there's me like I thought that's what I'm doing. Every day. All right. Yeah. It's a good thing. We should all celebrate and enjoy it.
How did you like the 80s dance party there? That was fun, wasn't it? Yeah.
I heard this. I heard
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what I heard. I heard gold.
Yeah. No, the singers were great. They both could belt and yeah. 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 Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. She had a voice. Yeah. Yeah. It was top notch. Top notch. Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. Here's to that.
And then, yeah, and then you get sore feet afterwards. And then you get sore feet afterwards. Yeah. Oh, no. No, but I just sometimes you get like, that's it for you. I Hello, Andrew. Are you listening tonight or do you want to read? If you can hear me.
Listening, he says. Yes, he's on the chat.
Oh, I'm not even looking at the chat. Well, welcome. Where are you from, Andrew?
He's from London.
Thank you, Jennifer. It must be here for you.
He's here for me.
Yeah, I think there's someone else that's going to come on that said something. I can't remember their name, but they said they're going to try to come on. She even emailed.
I'll see if they make it.
I did send her the link. I was before I was leaving my other job. I'm like, oh, I could better send that.
And Leslie's back in the screen.
Half awake.
Hey, how are you?
I just got up. I'm good.
What's that? Sorry?
I just got up, so I'm good.
All right, you're coming too. That's cruel of us to put you as the first reader, isn't it? You
No.
have to go splash some water on your face or something.
Right.
Yeah.
When I came here, when I came home, I was like, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. No.
There they are. Welcome, welcome. After yeah. Yeah, just shoo the paparazzi out the door there, Char. Just yeah.
Your agent got changed, and I said it's okay to have cameras. Because they had the cheese and then they get here, then realized that they didn't pay for it. They
Oh no.
I have to get fired.
Yeah. No.
Oh my God. I am the first reader. I thought I wasn't.
And when your
I just-
time is up, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to put clocks going flying.
Time is flying. Yeah.
You are number. You're number 3.
Number 3, David. Yeah.
It goes Leslie, then Kathleen, then Jennifer, then David, and then Peter. And you're way down here.
Number 10. Yeah. Lucky.
You're 10 years old again.
Which is yeah, which is actually number 9. Won't tell anyone. We're messing.
I mixed up the numbers. I skipped 5. I skipped 5. What happens when you're on the computer all day and then having to do a lot of computer work?
Wonder where Victoria is.
I don't know. She did say she was here.
Mm-hmm. It's quite late.
And I know I didn't need to remind Jennifer, but I just thought I better just to make her feel really happy. Got to keep her happy, that Jen.
Yeah, that's good.
So how's the weather in Ontario?
Well, not too bad, around 20.
It's not bad.
It was cloudy today. It was warm last week. It was upper 20s last week.
It was the other day. It was warm, but today it was like it rained. It would be crazy rain. It would come down really, really hard and then light.
Interesting.
Okay.
Hey, Robert.
Alleged Mermaid Emcee Derek Hanebury is a Port-au-Prince writer of That's what I get. Electric Mermaid Emcee Derek Hanebury is a Port-au-Prince writer of poetry, fiction, and creative and nonfiction who taught writing here at North Island College for many years. His new book, Something Else Is Altogether, is out.
Thank you, Karl. Good evening and welcome everybody to another episode of Electric Mermaid here from beautiful downtown Port Alberni on the unceded territory of the Sishat and Hipachaseth First Nations. Grateful to them and their ancestors for sharing their land with us. And grateful to see all your smiling faces here in person and out there on Zoom land. It's going to be a great evening. We got Jen for our feature and Victoria is our spotlight. She hasn't shown up yet, but we're going to hope she shows up soon. And we're fortunate to have David and Kathleen in the house from Gibsions. So it's going to be a little bit of a party going on afterwards, I think. So that's the one downside of being on the Zoom. You don't get to the after parties, but that's okay. You know, your time will come. You just have to come visit. It'll be wonderful.
There she is.
There
Miss
she is.
America.
There-
Miss
set.
Canadian.
We're all set. Beautiful. All right. So big thank you to Char, obviously, for hosting us here at Char's Landing. Thank you, Char. And to Sheila for keeping everybody fed and watered from the back there. Thank you, Sheila. And to Karl, our moderator, for keeping us on track. Yes, thank you, Karl. He's very excited. He's got a new little gizmo there for zooming. When your time comes up, you can hit a little clock sign and they filter up through your picture. So that'll be your 5 minute, the warning that you've hit your 5 minutes. There it is. Yeah, beautiful. Actually, it looks like it's going to just filter up through his picture, not yours. So yeah, we'll ding the bell too. But anyway, we don't even have the bell. So there you go. Anyway, yeah, there we are. We've got the bell. We've got the timer. We're organized. And we're going to start tonight with Lesli, who just woke up in Germany. Lesli Omohundro-Bronczkowski, so glad to see you and looking forward to what you're going to share with us tonight. What have you got on the books tonight?
This is really short. This is like Kathy and I sometimes we write, and we were talking about, what happens when you're not American anymore, but, you're Canadian or you're German. And, where do you fit in? Where do you fit in? How do you fit in? Whatever. And this is a little story about something that happened to me in Germany when I thought I fit in. Hey, people, have you ever seen such a thing in your whole life? I take a step back. This German lady is crazy, and I don't want to be around a German lady when she goes nuts. I turn around like the rest of the Germans and stare. We're standing in the cheese line at the supermarket, waiting to be served. This is not easy for me. I do not like to go shopping. After living in Germany for so many years, I still don't know how many grams or kilograms of cheese I need. In my mind, I'll always come from a country where cheese comes in pre-weighed packages that you just pick up and throw in your cart. When my turn comes, I'll ask for a piece of cheese this big, showing the woman behind the counter how much with my fingers, like a small child. Okay, she'll ask, kindly, knife poised over the cheese. Yeah, that's good, I say. This crazy lady waves her arms all around, trying to get our attention. I notice she's wearing plaid pants, the kind nobody wears except crazy people or American tourists. People, have you ever seen such a thing in all your life? She beckons a few more women over from the frozen food section. People, she calls. We're becoming a small crowd. Brown skin and green eyes. People, have you ever seen anything like it? Brown skin and green eyes. Just have a look at her. She's so loud the people up on the parking roof have probably heard her. We're all shaking our heads and rolling our eyes, giving each other that, wow, that lady has lost her marbles look, when I realize that she's pointing at me. Suddenly, I'm in a crowd scene in a film where all of the characters fade motionless into the hazy background, leaving one person standing in the spotlight. That one person is me. It's me she's talking about with the brown skin and the green eyes. I turn away in shame. After all these years, I'm still embarrassed by the fact that I stand out in a crowd, and that until somebody reminds me, I forget that I do. So,
Beautiful. Mhm.
I guess I should have titled it Life in Germany.
Mhm, yes. No, as an expat, I know, having lived in Japan and other places for a while, that yeah, it's always that thing of, will you ever fit in, or will you always be the outsider, right? So yeah, that was very interesting and quite the experience. Well documented. Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate that. Enjoyed it. All right. We're gonna go. Oh, Kathleen is number 2 here, so we're lucky to have her in house, and we're just gonna get her right up before she gets settled. She's hardly had a sip of her wine, and she's already up there.
I better do this mic right. Okay. All right. I got no idea. I was on, an hour and a half on Route 16. I don't know where I am now.
Is the light okay on your page, though?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
good.
it's
You
all
can
right.
read it. Okay, it's good on you.
Okay.
You're looking great.
Well, that's important, dear.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so we're in a hospital sleep clinic, and unfortunately, the person in room 1 of the sleep clinic didn't survive, but our detective agency is interviewing the people in rooms 2 and 3. So the second patient is a Montgomery Scott, and Harry and Lil interviewed the second patient. The patient immediately asked Lil about their "Ask Me About My Pronouns" badge. And Lil responded by explaining that Lil used the pronouns they, them, and that people shouldn't make assumptions just by looking at someone, that they, for example, used he, him, or she, her as their pronouns. Lil explained that some people had already moved between and beyond the gender binaries of male and female thousands of years ago, and it was time for the rest of the world to catch up. Well, I guess I'm a he, him. What do you have to say about that? Montgomery countered. I'm cool with that, Lil answered. You're free to be you. I just want to be free to be me. Okay, but you're not part of organized crime, are you? I'm not sure what you mean by organized crime. I'm against any laws, written or unwritten, that harm people. Harry felt it was time to intervene. Harry wanted to tell Lil how proud he was of them, but he remembered the conversation he and Lil had about why it was bad for parents to praise their kids. 1, Lil said, parents didn't own kids. And 2, praise was just another method parents used to control their kids, and was no better than yelling at them. They had said what every kid wants is not to be praised to the hilt, but just to be enough. Harry had wanted to argue that Lil, in his eyes, was more than enough, but Heather had interrupted, saying that one deep thinker was enough for this family detective agency. Besides, Harry knew that he often, and Lil in Heather's eyes, got it wrong. And that when he protested that he was right, Lil and Heather often used that as evidence for just how wrong Harry had gotten it. Harry grinned. It was fine by him, since he couldn't imagine a life without Heather and Lil and the Blossom Bloom and Bloom Detective Agency. Harry just needed to get this interview back on track. We're a detective agency, have nothing to do with organized crime. You have nothing to fear from telling us your story, Mr. Scott. They say I have acting out disorder and somnambulism. That's why they sent me here. But I've told them I don't sleepwalk, I teleport. It's a gift passed down in my family. My parents could teleport. We can go places at night all over the world and still be back by morning. Mr. Scott, I'm sorry, but people can't teleport. No one knows how to take people apart and put them back together. People are made up of atoms, and the atoms would get all scrambled. I mean, you could end up with your brain in your foot, or you could end up like mush, a dark red mass of muscle and blood, or some other bunch of mixed up atoms. So if you had teleported to the sleep clinic, I'm sorry to say, Mr. Scott, you could have ended up a dust bunny under the bed. Lil had studied the subject in depth. You don't know what I know, kid. I'm telling you that I teleported on a horrible night in a sleep clinic. And when I got back to room 1 in my bed, on my pillow was a cabbage head. I know what that's from, Lil started to say, but Harry interrupted. No more Shakespeare or Dickens, I beg you. No, I was going to say it's from The Godfather, Part 1. Don't you remember? You're right there, kid, Mr. Scott interrupted. Like I told you, it's organized crime. Only they've converted to animal rights and gone vegetarian. And they've taken over the hospital clinic, which explains the death in room 3. It was a hit. Mr. Scott had nothing more to say. And as Harry and Lil left, Lil whispered to their father, you know who sleepwalked in Shakespeare and why? Maybe it's the same here.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kathleen. That's got to be the line of the night. I think there's only room for one deep thinker in this detective agency. Beautiful. Super. All right. We're all warmed up now and ready for our feature. So we're going to go onto the Zoom, and Jennifer in London, Ontario is there, and she's going to share with us from her new book, which is in the process of being launched, but not launched yet. You're hoping October, I think you said, or?
Yeah, I'm not, it depends upon how fast he's able to get through it, and I have 1 or 2 things to send to him. October might be a little bit ambitious, but I don't think it'll be a long, long time. He's working his way through it and doing the layout even as we speak.
Yeah.
So we've been going back and forth. Thanks for having me back again, and greetings those in-house and on Zoom. And there's going to be at least a couple of people that look at the recording afterwards, so hello to them too. That couldn't make it tonight. I'm going to start with just one piece from the first book, Here Through the Silence. This is called Dream Memorials. Ephemeral and ethereal, yet eloquent and laden, one masculine figure materializing in the mist, achingly and all too familiar precursor reflection from bygone years and decades, faded from view by the formidable, magnificent metamorphosis, silently waving back while off-stage voices reflect on a seemingly recent premature passing, remembering perhaps sincere striving, quirks, accomplished yet haunted by a ghost of unfinished potential, time celebrated and mourned, a vision along an abandoned heading. Look again and see a life-saving relinquishment to femininity, unforgotten male vanguard withdrawing to a still, quiet place, bidding success, validating the course. Our mutual benedictions, well done, good and faithful vessel. I am with you always. Waking, we sail on. And that, of course, thank you. That speaks to my identity as a transgender woman, and that's not an easy path to trod lots of times, especially these days. Things seem to be going backwards in a lot of places. And this next piece is, everything else is from the new book. The new book is going to be called Emergence. When it comes out, as I say, in several weeks or a couple of months or something like that. And this next piece is in it. It also was published this past summer. The League of Canadian Poets had a cross-Canada call for trans and non-binary poets. And they put out a chapbook called Of Our Own Making, which is out there on the League's website. And I was pleased to have one of my pieces picked to go in it. And this one is called Alleyways. Once I knew them all, slipped through downtown's capillaries without a care, escaped into gaps between edifices, relished my secret mastery of shortcuts. Then relentless time and a gender presentation flip did away with my entitlement, and I wouldn't hazard them anymore. Some roots are gone now, but in the survivors, once sheltering walls, see me differently. Quiet now breeds a feared unknown, private respite from the crowd, now darkened to lonely dread. Where once I hunted a small adventure, now I would be the prey. Oh, I still explore, solitary, but these days my lanes are incorporeal. They slide in and around the typical, searched for fissures in the edificial majority, hidden connections between my psyche's sequestered bastions, lost paths to secret memory, still being refound. All these seams of wisdom beckon to this remade, aging adventurous, more alleyways, ethereal ones, calling out for discovery. Thank you. Now, for the rest of my time, I'm going to do something kind of unusual. I'm going to do essentially one thing. One of the anchors in the new book is a suite dedicated to the ancient Greek poetess Sappho. And she's a fascinating figure, and that has come down to us in a lot of instances in bits and pieces, and I'll say more about that as I go along. The whole suite, the title for this section is called Slender Fire Races Under My Skin, which is an absolutely wonderful phrase. It's from Sappho's Fragment 31, and this particular translation was by Willis Barnstone. And there, I have an epigraph, and it's dedicated to Sappho. And the epigraph is, "Someone will remember us, I say, even in another time." And that's the complete fragment 147, and in this case, translated by Anne Carson. Those are the two translations I have, and they both have advantages in different ways. The first piece it's kind of an introduction, and it's sort of a little tribute directly to her from me. It's called Sappho, Ethereal Muse. Tantalizing bits float to us on time's breezes, survivors of Caesar's fire ships at Alexandria, papal book burning, various sackings, Theban need for coffin linings, and old-fashioned neglect. But these ragged scraps of papyrus, morsels quoted by others, and an engraved potsherd, glow and tease with lyrical genius birthed in an ancient land of vineyards, olive groves, orchards, and crags. Revered of old as the 10th muse, no martial masculine voice this, rather feminine, personal, tender, and reflective, and unashamedly desirous of other women, scandal for later narrow minds, inspiration for distant sisters. A gift to eternity, her splinters of light still illumine both nature and the intimate. These scattered, sparkling stars, an elegy for and a promise of a glorious ethereal firmament. And as I say in that poem, it really, despite what the limitations and what you've got, she really is fascinating, and people have tried to erase her identity over the centuries, but that doesn't hold really. Not if one looks at it with an open mind. One of the longest sections, and maybe the longest thing that we've got, is effectively a prayer from Sappho to Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love. And so in responding to that, I've sort of got my own. And this is called For Aphrodite, Wherever She May Be. Where are you now? Sappho knew all those centuries ago, invited you from Crete to her temple graced with apple trees, altars fragrant with frankincense, and horses grazing in a flower garlanded meadow. My inducements are much more modest. No perfumed shrine, and the lovely great pastures are now mostly paved over. I do hold on to a small plot, not what you are used to, not for a long while redolent of youth, but maybe there are other beauties, enticing in their own way. There's even a tiny meadow. I'm proud of that. No lovely horses, but lots of squirrels, the occasional rabbit or raccoon, or even a groundhog, and plenty of my bird friends. As for your love of apple trees, I do understand. Long ago, I claimed an old orchard as my own, slipped away alone, child though I was, to wander its quiet rows, swing on welcoming branches, caress the gnarled trunks. Sadly, another sacrifice to modernity. They've been gone many years, except in my heart, where they blossom anew. Alas, then, no apple trees here, but two magnificent oaks shelter my little woodland, and a natal patch of luscious blackberries. So, wherever you may be, wherever you have taken refuge, a humble grove awaits. Come leaven this offering with your special joy. Thank you. Sometimes what we've got are a line or two or three and not much more than that. And the reason that we have them is because she was quoted by somebody else. There are a fair number of instances where somebody or other has quoted her because they really like the line or because it's an example of a particular meter or something like that. So it sort of recognition of that. This originally came to me in a dream, these two lines or very close to it. And I got thinking that this fit this little aspect of Sappho really well. So it's just called So, S-O, and it's really, really short. So a lost, lonely one longs to be you. And that's it. And sometimes what you get is just that. She has another poem about being awake at night and being alone. And I found that really interesting. It's very short as well. And I did one modernized, and it's called Bereft. The 3 a.m. trains echoing wails fade over the frozen yards, leaving me alone once more. Thank you. One thing you can't get away from, I don't think, is, as I mentioned in the first poem, is her love for other women. And of course, Sappho, Sapphic, I mean, that's the root of the word that's come down to us in the first place. So the next, if you're going to react to her, it's kind of hard to escape that. And so the next 4 poems in different ways speak to aspects of it, reacting to some of what she wrote. And the first one is called Genesis. Come long absent showers, a desert blooms, glowing embers of color illuminating her, one familiar as yesterday, but seen through new eyes, as near and as untouchable as tomorrow. All this Aphrodite's private gift and torment. Thank you. And I mentioned that wonderful line, Slender Fire Races Under My Skin, that is the title for the whole section. And that comes from one of the pieces that I really, really liked, and it's got some absolutely wonderful imagery in it. And so I did one just called Slender Fire in reaction to that specific one. She is near. For me, nearer than breath, yet far beyond reach. No closer than the stars, since, alas, no goddess attributes have I, save betrayal of calm. Then comes a soft word, an unknowingly sensuous gesture, a precious touch, and the ancient, slender fire is reborn and races under my skin, scalding all senses, inflaming mind and heart. But I am bound by cold chains, invisible and unbreakable, and soon am left with only flickering cinders, a wistful memorial to desire and suffering, expectant, but in despair. Thank you. And the next one in this little set is called Before Dawn. Before dawn enwraps the gloaming with golden arms, and before the robin chimes the morning song, visions sweep in on phantasmic wings, oft dark and dreary, fearsome and formidable, but some few apparelled in tender, sultry light, Eros calling in the depths of slumber's spell, offering up an ethereal taste of climactic nectar. Thank you. I should mention that there are images in there that directly go back to Sappho, like Lady Dawn and the idea of, golden arms and things like that. It goes back directly to her. And one other feature of that what we've got is there are pieces, and you can see this especially in the Anne Carson translation. She's got the Greek on one page and the English on the other. And so you can actually see where there is missing text. Like she's got what we've got, but then she's got square brackets to indicate where there are chunks missing. And so you can see where, and so in some cases it's like you've got part of a line and all of the next line, and then there's something missing out of the line after that. There are pieces like that. So I decided that I wanted to reflect that aspect too. This still is with this same little mini theme, but I did an erasure poem. And the way I did this was I actually wrote the whole thing. So I've got all of it, but I'm the only one that knows what all of it is. So I made myself omnipotent. So I've got the whole shebang, but I'm the only one.
Power to the poet.
Exactly. Power of the poet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it, but in order for you to see where the gaps and things are, that's where I'm going to share my screen for this one piece. And it's called, hopefully you should be able to see that, I think.
Yep.
Very good. Okay, as you can see, it's called Erasure. Deep in sleep's domain, following Eros's summons, the only route to, for she is there, mirror but beautiful, in an Elysian realm, outsiders swept away. The past fades, the future steps back, looks linger, smolder, catch fire, where a fleeting touch pauses, shrinks, then returns to a caress, wonder and exhilaration, lips searching, while dance and play close and graze and need, wind, flow, and merge, finally blazing forth, ecstatic, found only here, deep in sleep's domain, enmeshed in Eros's chimerical webs.
Yeah.
Oh, and I didn't show the bottom part. There it is. I'll give it a second, and then you can see where my pauses were.
Mm,
So that's the reason for all the pausing, where the gaps are.
sweet.
And sometimes that's all you get. And it also, it being about a dream, I thought that, the fragmentary nature of dreams, it's sort of tied in with having holes in what you've got. And she also has a really neat poem about old age. And so I thought, I just turned 65. So in the lead up to that, I thought that, yes, I should do one. So this is called Confronting Old Age. Quicksilver youth nimbly skip from the tangible to the conceptual, easily grasp both thought and pickle jar. The years have laid siege to my joints and organs, encumbered mind and hands, skipping and grasping now, slower and pain attended. I attempt a cloak of wisdom and deploy meds and complaints, but what really can be done? The way of aging is laid before us. Tolkien says that even Arwen Andomiel, dazzling for millennia, once she opted for humanity, was yoked to the mortal path. Sappho in her piece has a reference, but hers is to Greek mythology at the end. And I thought, well, I'll update it and go with Tolkien. She also has a little poem on the cicada, and there are some nature poems, and so I did one, and cicadas are interesting, and so I did one called Cicada. Song's desire is universal, but expression is a variegated gift. Varied too are the cues. At summer's apotheosis, heat and light insist that autumn can wait. Nature bursts with possibility, aching for serenade, and into the breach steps the cicada. Unlovely to many, beloved by a few, its insistent voice a shrill buzz to some ears, yet listen deeper. The language unfamiliar, the means exotic, but a chorus of heartfelt alleluias nonetheless. Welcome. Sing the celebration for us. And the final piece in the suite and the final piece in the whole book is called Evening Star. And she has a poem about the evening star, which is absolutely beautiful. And this is actually the first one that I wrote in the book. And I wrote it a number of years ago, but I held on to it because I wanted to do the rest of the suite. And it took me a few years to be able to get the pieces done. So Evening Star. Sappho's Hesperus, twilight's flaming diamond, guardian of the portals of night. Lifting my eyes, I am inescapably beckoned, following so many through the eons, the weary laborer awash in long-sought relief, under the spell of sleep's harbinger, a child gazing up in wonder at the herald of emerging heavenly glories, the overdue traveler guided onward by firmament's wanderer. And my wish ineluctably drawn, may you shepherd we roaming spirits homeward to peace and rest at last. Thank you very much.
Wow, what a lovely poem to end the book on and
Thank
to
you.
end your reading on tonight. That was lovely, Jen. Thank you. And kudos to you for keeping Sappho alive and introducing her to another generation or two that come along. It's fabulous. So yeah, I enjoyed so many of those. So I want to throw it open to questions and remind people out in Zoom land, you can just unmute and speak your question, or you can throw it in the chat and we'll pass it along. And people here at Char's, I think we have a microphone somewhere. I'll just go up to the podium there, yeah, and just ask a question. David's got a question here to start us off.
Oh, yes, it's a big thank you. I was actually kind of thunderstruck. I mean, I always like your stuff, but at the beginning you were talking about this waving back, a figure waving back, and your second poem was about the alleyway. And I think, yes, because the alleyway is always there, it's ourself, and the front, here we are, but sometimes there is a misty figure in the alleyway waving back, and I was very struck by that. That's going to make me think about misty figures waving back from alleyways. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Archetypal figure.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Interesting tying them two together.
Yes, definitely. All right. Any other questions out there or in Zoom land coming up? Yeah. So I can ask how long has this book been in the works then? If you wrote the final poem, how long ago now?
Yeah, it was a few years ago,
Yeah.
4 maybe. But that I wrote the poem initially as a standalone, like a one-off.
Hmm.
And then a year or two after I wrote it, and I hadn't published Here Through the Silence at this point, I got thinking that I really wanted to do a whole suite on Sappho. And that being the case, I thought I can't do Evening Star because it's it's got to be part of the suite. And so I held it back. These poems that I have, the rest of the poems are probably 2.5 years,
Hmm.
roughly speaking, I would say, because Here Through the Silence was in December of 2022, but I had finished all of the poems for it sometime before that, and I froze this book early-ish this year, and have been doing, working on the next thing ever since. So yeah, it represents about 2.5 years, give or take, with
Right.
the odd exception.
Okay. And how many sections in this text then?
In the book,
Yeah.
well, I can tell you real quick, a few. Um, there is, I can tell you what's in it as soon as it comes up. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sections. It's not as big as Here Through the Silence. By the time this is formatted, it'll be a little over 100 pages. There's one section called Listen to Mother Earth, which has poems about what you would think as far as the theme goes, nature poems, that sort of thing, climate change. There's another one called another triptych section, triptychs 2. It's another set of my haiku triplets. Ekphrastic, those are all ekphrastic pieces reacting to other art, portraits, miscellaneous thing. I don't know if you remember Empress. That's the one about the Roman emperor that was, I think, a transgender woman. That whole
Yeah.
suite is in here. There is an alleyways section with alleyways that I read as the title piece, are more or less about being a trans woman, reveries, dreams, contemplations, which are almost philosophical, and then this one.
Nice. I think that's a really good strategy for any poet to adopt. I think that, it can be daunting to think, okay, I'm just going to write this whole book of poems. But if you say, okay, I'm going to write this suite of poems, and work with something smaller and manageable, and then let the whole manuscript evolve in a series of suites, it's a brilliant way to go.
Yeah, you just do it one piece at a time, and sometimes the suites, you're conscious of the fact that they're going to be a set, like the Sappho one. I always knew it was, and it was just a matter of when I could write each one. And some of them, it took a while before I felt able to write it. In others, it's a matter of writing you write the pieces, and then you're saying, okay, how can I gather and group these together so that they make sense somehow?
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think back when in my book of poetry, how you're writing a poem, but you want it to be an entity unto itself. But when you're writing it as part of a collection, you become conscious of all the other ways that it hooks up with other poems, and that often steers things. Did you find that happening a lot along the way?
Yeah, it does sometimes. Yeah, and sometimes it connects, and you're not even aware of it, and it just sort of works out
Yeah.
that they all sort of connect together.
Yeah, it's the organic synchronicities that we love that happen. Yeah, beautiful. All right. Any last minute questions? No, we look like we're all questioned out in the house. So thank you so much for sharing that work
Thank
with
you.
us. And we really look forward to the manuscript coming out.
Thank you.
And I'll mention for anyone who wants to get Jen's first book, it's at her website, jenniferwen.wixsite.com/home. It's in the chat, so it will be available for anybody on Zoom, and Karl can make it available for anybody here in house. So.
And as soon as the book is, and I should say the book is being published by Wet Ink Books. I don't know if anybody knows that, Richard Grove, but that's who's putting it out, and he's working on it now. As soon as it's ready, I'll put it up on the website.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Ian. Wonderful.
Thank you.
You probably can't hear, but that was thunderous here at Char's Landing, gents, just so you know. Okay. All right. We've got returning feature poet Rachelle Mecca, who is going to hobble up here on her crutches after foot surgery, just returning from her Cross Canada poetry tour, which we followed on Facebook enviously, thinking about her out there being free and having such a good time.
Running away with the circus.
Yes. Well, welcome home. Oh, and we've got Kim back to help with the
Okay.
mic. Thank you, Kim.
Sure.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay. Let's see if I'm here, then I can mostly see things, but I might go, oh, that's all right. Yeah. And then I'm just gonna hold the book stand and then keep those on the side. Coordination, yeah, I think so. Yeah, thank you. All right, so yeah, I tried to do a cross-country poetry tour. I ran away with the circus. I broke my foot, so and so the reason I'm saying that is because during the recovery time, it was a lot of laying down and thinking about things, and of course, I'm reviewing my love life and stuff. So thinking about the past, who I've been with, yada yada. So this one I wrote thinking about an ex, and it's called "Love Must Not Be Silenced." Oops, oh gosh, okay. I want to break down our barriers and learn to love again. Listen to the truth in my heart. You spoke of a fear of commitment, whether or not it was so. Are you? Was I? When we separated, I needed to commit to myself. As they say, you must love yourself before you love others. I was on a quest for true self-love. Though since then I've stumbled, fallen for other people, forgetting me again and again. This summer, I found the truth of self-love. This kind of love expands out to the world, attracts the frequency of love, and pulls it in, surrounding me. Listening to my inner voice, a calling whispered from the universe, I've found a wild and chaotic path that has made absolute sense for me. Facilitating and making space for people, providing healing and receiving it in exchange. Trusting the love I feel in my heart, allowing the expression to flow through me. Special moments and memories were made through the growth and change. I returned to a place in my heart, a place that is perhaps unnameable, undefinable, a self-acceptance and adoration that was known but never fully realized, inner truth that was so simple and beams from within. My journey making sense, born of a void-like shadow. As I've begun to understand, my thoughts return to you. The joy we shared, our hearts explored, the depth we felt. I thought of breaking up as a sacrifice, not something I wanted. I needed space and change. My chaotic nature couldn't be tamed. Now my heart calls for Isaac. It's processing many things at once. Much love in my life recognized, surfacing, speaking their stories. What's the truth? When I refer to you as my saxophonist, it's a clue. Dreams I remembered but never wrote. Owls appearing in tarot. Constricting love only brings suffering. Through the fear of interrupting what is in your life now, my words will be expressed because love is always the answer. Just need to peek in, be true to myself. Light bursts out of a crystal inside my chest.
Sweet.
I sent it to him and we talked, and nothing's coming of it, but it was really nice to feel those things. Okay, here's another one from my first book. It's called Contemplating the Sunrise. Purifying white light, billowing clouds. Take my life by storm, test my spirit, and offer me a brilliant sunrise. Do the mountains of America peek through? Here we are merely divided by the sea, water and snowy tufts of clouds between. A godly glow across the horizon. The water touches the sky. Reflections blend the below and the up high. A red and white flag behind me, it welcomes in the day. Enter water, enter light, try not to fly away. Do I have hope? It's hard for me to say. Hope is for the believer. Spirit is for the dreamer. I'd rather dream 100 dreams, achieve them all, than to believe in the unknown, scared as shit for failure, because truth is ever-changing, soaked from the shores renewed. A lone paddler carries my fears away. Cycle of strokes never-ending, towards no destination, disappears behind the land. My smile warms, the laugh in my belly and throat recharge. Confidence grows. I am never here alone. Heal. Lost waves drag my pain away. I could never be free without this release. I feel like I've aged many years. I feel like I've realized my naivety.
Time for one short one?
One short?
Sure.
I'll find short. Forget, forgot, forgotten. Charged with woes of love, I'll never forget you. Identify my origins. Don't let me forget you. It was you all along. I did forget about you. I come back home to live without, but never forget you. Carry on, carry on. Do you see it? Do you feel it? We are family now. A heart restored can grow, but never, lovingly, ever forget.
Sweet. Lovely note to end on. Thank you, Rachelle. Glad to have you back in town and sharing some more of your work. That was awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Get that foot healed up there. Yeah, that'll make it easier. Thanks, Robbie. All right, we're going back out into Zoomland now, and Peter Paul Van Camp is waiting patiently over there on Denmen Island with his manuscript in hand. It looks like, from this angle, like an ancient text, you know, that spells.
Let me just say this. I must get onto the stage again between the curtain and crowd, and all that I ask is a sober throng, high-minded, with kindness endowed, and a breath of air, and a throat that's clear, and knees that won't stop shaking, and a light in my eye, so I cannot descry the faces you might be making. I must get onto the stage again, for I've just been introduced, and I hear a smatter of clapping. Oh, yes, and the usual scatter of good-natured who's, and all that I ask is you'll suffer my task, and at my painstaking not scoff, and the sooner I get on the stage again, friends, why, the quicker I can get back off. But I must get on to the stage again. Now, Derek, and all of you, I'm kind of surprised that in all the times that I've been here, this is my 20th visit to the Electric Mermaid, and I hadn't gotten around to reading it. I thought, thank you. And by the way, this is also my 2,200th appearance as a performing poet, which means that 0.09% of them have taken place right in this venue. Char.
We're honored.
but let's put all that aside. I have something much more important to deal with. Friday, I better get this right. Friday is the birthday of the gal I love, who also happens to be my wife. Now, this is the first time that she's going to be celebrating a birthday with a 7 in it, featuring in a two-syllable, two numeral. She's turning 70. So I thought that I'd like to read this special piece for her. Now, it's important that you get a good look at this. This is a postcard, an old postcard that is the inspiration of this piece. And now, I don't know if you can make it out, but I like to believe that the pair of us, Jeannie and I, are sitting there on the dock, just dangling our feet in the water. Perhaps you can make it out, perhaps not. But the caption on this postcard is moonlight on the Vermilion River, showing a new 312,000 gallon water tower nearby. And so with that as my inspiration, and of course the affection I bear for Jeannie, I've written this. It's called The Dangers of Moonlight on These Beautiful June Evenings on the Vermilion River. Gee, it's gotten awful quiet, except for that cricket. Almost anything could happen. All this water going by, and the lake just heaving out there, telling fortunes. And it's June in this painted picture postcard view of Vermilion and the river that was mailed in the 40s, and it's years before our time. Still, that's you and me, the tiny figures on the pilings, where the beaming of a generous pat-a-butter moon that's peering through the clearing in these understanding clouds spills across the running water in a way that makes you wish that words could scatter light so perfectly. And over there, behind us both, the new water tower looms, earnest and perspiring. I read somewhere that thing holds 312,000 gallons. Say, that's a lot of lemonade if anyone was up to it. And any minute now, pencil in the night breezes. What with all this water here and all this moon, why, you might look at me or I might look at you. Either way, we'd be goners. Any moment in this picture, almost anything could happen, any second, and forever. And don't we both know it, too? I'm in the mood for love, simply because you're near me. Funny, but when you're near me, I'm in the mood for love. Happy birthday, darling. Thank you very much.
You have a lucky wife, Peter. That was sweet. And I don't know if she was watching you while you did that, but you just make sure she watches the recording when it comes out.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek.
All right, it's time for our local spotlight, and Victoria Roscoe-Roumanis is going to share some of her work with us for about 10 minutes. Welcome, Victoria. We were getting a little nervous when you came at the last minute, but we knew you'd come eventually.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I can move it. Thank you. Yeah, I just need to see there. How's that?
Perfect.
My voice is coming through. There. Okay. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry I was late.
No worries.
It was torrential rain at my side of the town. Did you get it?
I
Yeah.
drove through it, yeah.
Okay, so my first one is Goodbye, Hawaii. Hard to say goodbye to Hawaii, but this love affair is not over. The end of an era for sure. but the love will always be in our hearts. You will no longer maneuver and fly over Sprout Lake, magnetizing your admirers. Just the hum of your engines was sufficient to obtain our attention, arousing excitement at the possibility of seeing you. We could tell if your mission was just a test run, or whether you were gathering gallons of water to battle a fire. We were in awe when we were fortunate to see you drop your liquid cargo. So proud of how quickly you could douse a fire. Hundreds gathered around the lake as your mechanics prepared you for your last flight. The excitement once again of hearing your engines turn and, I've got a frog here. The excitement once again of hearing your engines turn and their sound resonating between mountains around the lake. The sad day actually arrived on the 11th of August, 2024. Your Port Alberni family gathered to watch your departure as you flew from Sprout Lake to Tyee Landing and Harbour Quay. Hundreds waited and emotions were palpable as we heard you approaching. Old and young, recalling their own memories of life with you, our hearts grieving as you were being blown away from us. Tear-filled eyes and dropped like rain coming down on the scorching hot summer day. Your sister, the Philippine Mars, will soon be making her journey away from us, going to her new home in Tucson, Arizona, the USA, meeting new admirers in the Aviation Museum. You'll be close to my son there, who grew up on Sprout Lake, and like all of us, you became a special part of his life. You will have him as your friend close by, and he will be visiting you. We will miss you both and cherish the moments for always. And I have a postscript to this. In my mind, you should never have been forced to leave your Sprout Lake home to end your days away from your Port Alberni family. It would seem those with power in this city just cannot see the value of historical artifacts. They lost the Lady Rose, who attracted visitors from around the world, allowed the deterioration of the McLean Mill, which was becoming known internationally. It could have been an attraction here, like Vaudeville. The beautiful railway station has been gutted. There is a sign on the station stating, historical site. Now we have lost the Martin Mars water bombers, and they now will be attracting hundreds of tourists in Victoria and the USA from around the world. Millions of tourists travel through Port Alberni on their way to the West Coast year-round. What a boost it would have been for our economy if we had these attractions here instead of allowing others to benefit. Once lost, they cannot be retrieved. The next one is a man for all. In life, a unique person crosses one's path and leaves an incredible legacy. Hundreds were drawn to the same destination, Canal Beach. The strong spirit of an amazing man, John Douglas, directed them all to gather in a reclaimed area of the waterfront his vision had created. A waterfront that had been the derelict site of a plywood mill until he came along. He wanted waterfront access for all people to enjoy. He proceeded to achieve this goal in the midst of skepticism and resistance. Cleanup took time, years, hard work, and unfailing persistence from John. John was a man who cared deeply about the future and for the people of Port Alberni where he lived. This project was only one of the ventures this man instigated. He inspired others to assist in the multiple plans he had for our community and had a special talent for bringing others on board. How blessed each member of our community is to have had the good fortune that John Douglas made his home in Port Alberni. At this celebration of life, the testimonies and recounts of John's life, work, and dedication was overflowing, and through tears, all showed love for him in individual ways. John certainly left us too young. He still had plans and projects to complete. Now it is the task of all of us to instigate and proceed and to see his vision for our community brought to fruition. Gusts of strong wind rushed through the large gathering. Tent frames swayed and creaked, testing their stability. Papers were held tightly to prevent flight. Even the enlarged photograph of John was blown off the wall, causing his wife to laugh during her tribute to him. The powerful wind could not be ignored by all present. It felt as if John's spirit was determined to get everyone's attention and saying, "No time to take a back seat. Keep going. There is work to be done. You can succeed." The beautifully reclaimed waterfront, now John Douglas Park, bears your name. John, the memory of you will live on in the hearts of us all for always, especially so when the wind blows up the inlet, reminding us that there is work to be done. And the next one, a little bit different. Summer's ending. Sounds of imagined silence, dogs barking, birds singing, boat engine groans like a cat's purr, crickets sounding like a squeaky mill wheel spinning to make time. Bright setting sun settles on bare branches like crystalline snow in winter. Wild blue asters poke through stones, ragged petals dancing in the soft breeze. The cloud's silver lining squishes out from darkened pillows like cream from a chocolate eclair. Lake, you comfort me with your ripples lapping on the shore. Does the flow of my blood sense security responding to your movement, recalling a safer time of the cradling womb? Don't leave us, son. Everything changes when you do. Color drains like a black and white photo. Warmth disappears like doused embers. Summer is fading away. And the last short one, sailing on a winter's day. It is the second week of January when the sailboat glides out of the Port Alberni's beautiful harbor. The temperature is mild, no need for winter wraps. In fact, the warmth for this time of year seems surreal. We are heading down the inlet against the incoming tide. The wind has not woken yet. Eyes need to keep watch for the dangerously threatening forest of logs that have been washed out into the inlet at high tide. The hum of the motor breaks the silence until the jib sail is set free, only to gather a small amount of air. However, even if the sail has not gathered strong wind power, the engine is cut. Listen to the quiet. Gentle ripples ride through the water. On the far shore, we hear the waterfall hidden somewhere behind the trees. A whistle sounds at a nearby mill. It must be shift change. The sun is warming. We are alone, nobody else, venturing out into the canal on this winter day. Gliding slowly, we breathe in a mix of ocean and canal air. Our dog, Nikita, with her nose held high, is exhilarated by the many smells her acute sense observes. An eagle flies high overhead. Such wonderful peace, a good time for meditation as we soak in the beauty. Warmed by the sun, one could stay here forever. The sun has a different idea as it decides to sink behind the mountains and rob us of its comfortable temperature. The air chills quickly, and a decision is made to head back to harbor for hot tea and cookies, taking with us our memory of a winter's sail in January. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Victoria. And I love the way you honored John Douglas and the Martin Mars, the Hawaii Martin Mars. That was gorgeous. Yeah. And I know for people who don't know Port Alberni so well, I mean, the Mars are like, they're so connected to our identity, I think. And you know, there was that fire up on Mount Arrowsmith last night that people could see from Parksville and beyond, apparently. And I'm sure there were at least half a dozen people in Port Alberni said, well, if the Mars were here, they'd have that thing knocked down by now.
That's what we always said. That's what we always said when they stopped going into to fight fires. Yeah, where are the Mars water bombers? Why aren't they here?
Yeah.
But I'm glad I got through without crying because, yeah, it brought tears to me. And when I've been practicing reading it,
Yeah.
well,
That
I had
was-
tears all the time. I thought, I'm going to cry tonight, but I didn't cry.
You did it. Awesome. Thank you so much. And it was great. They were honored by the snowbirds accompanying, you know, flying them down. That was great. Yeah. All right, we're in house again. Dan Biggs is going to share some more of his novel with us, I'm guessing. We're moving on. And just a reminder while Dan's getting set up there that for those of you out in Zoom land, that electricmermaidreads@gmail.com is always open to accepting e-transfers to support Char's Landing. So if you feel like making a donation out there in Zoom land, we'd be heartily welcomed here. So keep Char's business running here. Thank you. All right, Dan, the floor is yours.
Okay, can you hear me fine?
As long as you keep close to that microphone, we're good. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try.
Thank you, man.
Okay, I'm just gonna take off from where I left off last time. So Henry closed his shirt, turned his back, and walked into the dark room, leaving the door open. Gunther stepped into the dark and smelled the must of mold. Columns of light shafted through a tattered blanket draped over a window. Henry struck a match. The flare of a flame glowed on his face as he lit the candle wick. The flame grew and revealed a circular table set in the center of a room. Cups and plates sat disarrayed on the table. Flies swirled from food scraps. The glowing light showed dishes piled on the counter, open drawers, empty liquor bottles, doorless shelves void of contents. Why are you here, Gunter? You changed your name. Henry snorted as he blew out the match. To make a new start? Gunther asked. Why are you here? I needed to see you. You didn't bother the whole time I was in. I heard you didn't want visitors. Henry reached out of the sink and brought out a half bottle of whiskey. He took a dirty glass from the counter, used his shirt tail to wipe it before pouring. Isn't it a little early for that? I'd offer you'd one, but I've seen you finish your schooling. And you wouldn't want it or shouldn't want it, or maybe you do, Henry said, holding the bottle towards Gunter. No, you're right. I don't want it. I can't be tempted. And yes, I'm in line to take over for the church in New Westminster. So you're here to thank me? Not to offer you help if you want it. You sound just like a priest, always thinking people need your help. Henry took a drink. He swallowed hard, coughed, refilled the glass. I'm doing fine, thanks. You don't look so good. And this place. And judging, just like a priest. You've learned your craft well. Henry poured another drink. Or took another drink. I'm not planning on staying, he said. Where will you go? Up north. There's lots of work up there. A knot grew in Gunther's belly. He could not meet Henry's eyes. He turned his gaze to the cluttered tabletop. It was the mule. It didn't wander off, he said. Henry straightened up, wiped his lips with his fingertips. And the tinker's hat in the ditch, and my bandana hanging from a branch, and your mother's broken pot, my bloody shirt, and oh, don't forget the rotting corpse a stone's throw from the road where the stupid mule waited. You didn't say a thing. You just accepted the manslaughter deal and pled guilty. I need to thank you, Henry said after a pause that stretched like a vanishing sunset. I'm impressed. You've made yourself important enough to get the bishop to write a letter to the judge who put me away and convince him I'm really a good person and should be paroled. I don't think I could have done the whole 10 years. Gunther met Henry's eyes. You saved me from what you went through. I wouldn't have lasted a month, let alone 4 years. It was damn tough. I almost died a few times. Almost did some things they would never have let me out for. Henry said as he touched the scar in his belly. I heard it was bad. In one swig, Henry emptied the glass, brought it down heavy on the table. The sudden clap jerked Gunther. You have no idea. What do you think happens when a boy gets thrown into a place with only bad men? Gunther's face lost its color. He turned his eyes back to the table. I bet that's something they don't teach you in preschool, Henry said as he filled the glass. That's why the new name, Gunther asked. Henry knocked back the drink. I don't want to be known. I want to be forgotten, and I want to forget. Another name is the only way to start. And don't you dare think you can pray it away. Gunther reached into his pant pocket and handed Henry a folded paper. When you get to where you're going, after you finish running, you can write me a letter at this address. Why? I would like to keep in touch. Why the sudden interest? To see how you're doing and to let you know that you always have a place here. You got me out early. When I found out, I figured you'd come looking for me. Come and try to save my soul, convert me, bring me into the flock. It's not like that, Jacob. Henry. Yes, sorry, Henry. It's not like that. I can't bring you into the flock, as you say, if you don't want to be brought in. I'm not much into writing, you know. I only had a few years in school. I only learnt the basics, how to read feed bags, road signs, the grocery list. You didn't take any of the schooling in the penitentiary? There are teachers there. The teachers, it's not like they tell you anything. Nothing's for free. And besides, I was too busy trying to keep alive. Okay, I'll end it there.
Getting juicier with each installment, Dan. Thank you. That was good. All right. And we're going to stay in house now. Robert Gunn is going to share some words with us. Come on up, Robert.
There. You're unmuted, I think. Is that unmuted?
Yeah, I unmuted it, but I'm not supposed to be. I should be muted.
Many of you remember last month, John Duncan challenged us or was talking about two forms of poetry that were rather fun for beginners. So I thought I'd have a go at one of them. The first is a pantheon. It's a Malaysian style that has 4 verses of 4 lines, where the second and better read it. Where the second and last lines are repeated as the third and the first and third in the subsequent verse. It gets a little complicated to write this, and you don't want to go start changing things once you've got something down. So starting off with at the Salmon Festival. So the Salmon Festival has made the move to Tai Landing a wishful name. Still the same Saturday evening crowd, the barbecue dinner, the beer garden. Young and old, their ink on display, brown end-of-season bodies, all pretty lame. The same ice chest with prize Chinooks, eyes luster tarnished in death. The same Saturday evening crowd, the barbecue dinner, no wasps now at the beer garden. This is no celebration to greet their returns, the first returns of the season, no sense of thanks for nature's bounty. The same old ice chest with prize Chinooks tarnished in death. Who asks their pardon? Are hatchery fish even natural? No excavation of gravel and wild spawning for these generations. This is no celebration to greet the first returns, no sense of wonder at nature's navigation. Taken at the hatchery gates, their eggs and milk stripped by unfeeling hands. Are hatchery fish even natural? No shifting of gravel and wild spawning for these misbegotten. All natural processes eradicated, a man-made factory for sport and money paid for by taxes. Yes, the Salmon Festival has made the move to Tyee Landing. No Tyees caught there now. Supernatural fish ladders and technology, millions of years of natural process subordinated. No big ones from a factory dedicated to sport and money paid for by taxes. As with so much we falsely extol, an artifact totally fabricated. There's some US research, in fact, that suggests that after a couple of generations of this, Chinooks can no longer spawn naturally. If true, that's pretty scary. The second poetic form that John mentioned was the glossa, originally from Spain, bearing a quatrain or four, an epigraph, which is a beginning, and 4 10-line stanzas, with the last line of each stanza being a line from the quatrain. The poem I've chosen for this epitaph is "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," a jazz poem set to music by a man named Gil Scott Heron in the 1960s. I think he wrote it while watching television because there's some wonderful television imageries in it. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not go better with Coke. The revolution will not find germs that may cause tooth decay. The revolution will not put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised. In 1970, in Chile, we sang, "Si quieres tomaron pero sin Coca-Cola, a Cuba, iré, or I will go." Cuba had had a revolution before television. When the epidemic of obesity and diabetes finally overcomes what's left of the health system, we will fully understand that things do not go better with sugar. Maybe we'll have to wait some time for this revolution, when nations no longer exist and Earth is swept by ethnic hordes seeking food and shelter. Then we will understand what true revolution is. The revolution will not go better with Coke. Are you engaged? Are you registered to vote? A healthcare election, missing in action doctors, closed ERs, seduce away nurses and doctors from anywhere, dentists from Mexico, weight loss with pills and operations. What politician has the courage to talk of personal responsibility? That would indeed be revolutionary. We have telehealth, Dr. Google, snake oil, and happy horseshit. Health is what we make of it. Or buy instant remedies from US television, but remember, the revolution will not fight germs that might cause tooth decay. The freedom of the road, limitless, open, go to heaven in your SUV, black-topped, hermetically sealed, alienated, and above all safe. What was your first car? Was your status assured by your drive? Doesn't matter where you go, just go. Continue the myth that our infatuation comes at no cost. The revolution might be electrified for those who can afford it. The revolution, public transport, anybody? Not so easy around here. We can all walk around the block anytime. The revolution will not be delivered to your door by a grey Amazon van. The revolution will not put you in the driver's seat. There was no revolution following Scott Heron's hopeful verse. Not then, not later, just grudging incrementalism designed as progress. Fashion, fads, isms, all canoes rose, if you were born lucky. Television splattered into uncountable channels, instant gratification with an ad-free option. Now a camera in every phone and still no revolution in sight. Anyone everyone with their own YouTube account and TikTok, their life on display to the world, all too busy directing our own fake news. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised. Thank you.
Awesome, Robert. Well, Robert, I think form has found you at a good time in your life. That's fabulous. And look forward to you experimenting some more with some forms. That was great. Thought-provoking, current, etc. All right, we're going to go out to Zoomland now, and Joe Lunchbucket, aka Bob Franco, is going to come on board and unmute and be with us. And we're glad you could join us, Bob. I hear you had a bit of a fall. Sorry to hear about that. Hope you're recovering okay. We're all rooting for you to be back here live. How are you feeling?
Bearable.
Good, good. As long as it's bearable, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. You going to share some poetry with us tonight?
Okay, I'll show you a
All
sad story. A few days ago, I dined with my oldest living friend. I flashed my racer walker and he waved a crutch at me. His company comfort even in misery, and reality eliminates jealousy. My friend and I may both be sane, but are disabled and caned, never to walk upright again. At dinner, we charted our high school dearly departed on a graph. 80% have passed. The fittest resist, but it hurts when we laugh. Reaching maturity is not a guarantee, and it doesn't go by seniority. Did some have a premonition of what old age would bring on? And maybe that's why our bright elites are gone. Can living in constant pain be a gain? When good times we may never see again. The end comes, but we know not when. And should a merciful God eliminate pain before then? If voters raised our political collective voice, would a vocal majority get an early departure choice? That's it, folks.
Awesome.
Time is limited.
Thanks, Bob. And you take good care and recover fast. Hey, well, hopefully we'll see you here next month.
Yep. Hopefully. Thanks.
You have to mute yourself now.
All right, we're going to come back live in-house now.
Yeah.
Vicki Drybrough is going to share something with us. What have you brought this evening, Vicki? Prose, poetry, prose tonight? All right. Always a delight, whatever it is.
About there? Okay. This is a part from a larger piece from the writing I've been doing, which I think is a novel, but I'm not sure. Anyway, the waiting room at the CPR dock in town was almost empty. My mother, Sam, and I were sitting with our grocery bags at the end of one of the long wooden pews, waiting for our little island ferry. Oh, for goodness sake, I've forgotten something. My mother jumps up and turns to Sam. Stay here with Holly. I have to run back and get something. Then she hurries away. Where's Mom going? Sam looks at me as if I'm stupid. She forgot Dad's gin. Oh, she was rushing to the liquor store. It would be bad for all of us if we got home without his gin. What if she doesn't make it back in time to catch the ferry? Sam shrugs. We'll catch the next one. We know there will be people on this ferry who will give us a ride. If we miss it, we will probably have to walk the 3 miles home. How are we going to get home? I don't know. He runs his hands through his dark hair. We'll walk until somebody comes along and offers us a ride. Well, what if nobody comes? Then we'll just have to walk, won't we? I am tired and I can't imagine what it will be like to have to walk all that way. Sam stands up. I'm going to the bathroom. He wanders off with his hands in his pockets. I watch him until he pushes the men's room door open and disappears inside. I hope my mother makes it in time. I swing my legs and run my hand over the smooth coolness of the pew. The room is beginning to fill up with passengers waiting for the next CPR boat. Some of them sit down while others stand around talking or watching for the boat to arrive. I hate being alone in a crowd of people. A large group is standing at the window of the magazine stand. Some people have newspapers and others pick up magazines. A teenage boy buys a juicy fruit gum. He tears the wrapper off, throws it on the floor, and opens his mouth wide as he pushes 2 sticks in at the same time. I wonder what it tastes like. I'm not allowed to have gum. A family with 3 teenagers sits down on the pew, and I am scrunched up next to the grocery bags. When I look up, I can't see the men's room door. I am walled in by people. I can tell when the flood of people enters from the gangway where the boat has just tied up. The huge room is filled with their voices and footsteps until they disappear down the ramp. People who have been waiting hurry to line up at the open doors, eager to board. Finally, I can see the men's room door again. It opens. It must be Sam. It isn't. After a few minutes, the line of people disappears. I am alone again. My mother has been gone an awfully long time. Sam, too. Something must be wrong. I start to feel like I felt when they wandered off and left me in Stanley Park, and the time they went to town and left me alone with my father. I never trusted them after that. I stare at the men's room door, imagining Sam coming out of it. What if he already has? Maybe in all the crowd I missed him. Was I supposed to be somewhere else? Or did he and Mom forget me again? I start to cry because I don't know what to do or where to go, and I'm afraid of doing the wrong thing. Still no Mom, no Sam. They've been gone way too long. I leave the grocery bags and walk over to the magazine stand. The nice lady asks what is wrong, and I try to explain that my brother and my mother have left me behind. I feel so bad that I start to cry again. She opens a door and comes around to the front of the stand and crouches down beside me. Don't cry. I'm sure they'll come back for you any moment now. Then I tell her Sam went to the men's room and never came back. She looks up and my mother is there, apologizing and asking what is wrong. The lady explains and then gives my mother a dirty look. She's awfully young to be left alone in a place like this. Yes, thank you. My mother and I are already sitting on the ferry when Sam shows up, like nothing has happened. He just shrugs when she asks him what he was thinking, leaving me alone in a busy ferry terminal. She was fine. I just wanted to watch the boat come in. Later that night, before I fall asleep, I hear my father yelling at Sam. How bloody stupid can you be? Anybody could have come along and taken her, disappeared on the boat to Vancouver, and we'd never see her again. Your mother gave you a job to do, and it was up to you. Taken me? Never see me again? What people? The creepy man that pushed the huge broom across the floor? The lady downstairs at the ticket booth with a scary face? Now I am scared all over again. Were these people coming to get me? Why did they want to hurt me? What did I do wrong? In the darkness, I prayed that God would protect me, but I was pretty sure he had forgotten me.
Beautiful, Vicki. That captured a childhood terror I can remember having as well. That's beautiful. Awesome. Okay, and we're going to stay in-house now, and David Kippling, who has joined us from Gibsions, is going to share some work with us. Come on up, David.
Whoops. Don't start the clock yet, because you know, we read 100,000 words, but this evening, you know, if you see me scribbling, it's because I heard with Henry and Gunther, somebody struck a match and he lit the candle wick. He did not light the candle. He
Yeah.
let the candle whip. I just hope I can remember to write as well as that. He lit the candle whip.
It's specificity. It's all about it, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. Ba, 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 ba. Okay. Time to die. Ronnie Bayer murmured to himself and grinned and nudged Ollie, the bulky oxygen concentrator bracketed beside his elbow. Ronnie snorted, caught his breath, and explained to Ollie, "Time to Die, from Blade Runner, right? Remember the art film festival last year, Seattle? You and me, and that embarrassed couple beside us?" He snorted again through the clear plastic tubes in his nostrils. Blade Runner. German actor played the robot. No, the replicant, that was it. He was a replicant, the renegade leader of the androids. Ronnie Bayer closed his eyes and prepared, with his 12-hour morphine dose 3/4 gone, the familiar monologue. Ronnie's sagging thoughts drew out the movie replicant's final words to deliver aloud as a dramatic treat for Ronnie's health visitor as soon as he walked in the apartment door. "No, perhaps that's not," whispered his careful angel perched on his shoulder. "No, Ayatundi would put it in his notes. Keen guy, good enough guy, but serious. Nobody was going to die early on Ayatundi's shift." Ronnie could picture what Ayo would scribble on his clipboard. "Client makes possible hint about suicide or self-harm, 2nd November, 7:30 p.m. For Christ's sake, 70 is a good innings, even for healthy people in this godforsaken world. Ronnie rolled his eyes at Ollie's quietly puffing case. "You're right, Ollie. Mustn't even say Christ or godforsaken when Io is in the room. He wouldn't like to have an unbeliever dying when he's on the job." Somewhere above, a surging carpet cleaner stopped abruptly, and Ronnie realized it had been on all morning. The property company cleaning up Mrs. Kabila's apartment now that she was gone. 70 years old when it's agony to piss, and breathing through the pain brings its own punishment. And when you intend to speak, but your flappy, lappy, loose lung dangling, tongue tied tallies badly with what? Where was I goggling to say words? And then the family, well, the two that's left and one of them not interested, family faces stiffen in polite comprehension. "No, they're in Terre Haute, Indiana, not here, Ronnie boy, not here." Ronnie frantically scanned his just uttered words, patrolling for profanity or sex or bitterness just popping its bitey little head out of the babble. "Where was I?" Me too, miss. I'm ready to die, miss." Ronnie mocked the long-ago teacher, semi-materializing inside the glass front of the empty dresser, and raised a blotched and skeletal arm, mimicking his school days 60 years distant, the echoing classroom in Eastern Washington. But his skinny arm was not a 12-year-old's with its cannula and medical tape. Any time he suddenly got an eyeful of what his body looked like today. And was there anywhere on this 3rd floor that didn't smell of disinfectant? Life expectancy took a dive when you moved into the Bentley apartments on the cheap side of Hazelwood North's Hayford Avenue, the 3rd floor especially. At least the view of Komatsu Diesel Workyard had some life. A forklift operator had seen Ronnie at the window once and had given him the thumbs up. Mornings, Ronnie found himself at the window more, hoping for another thumbs up. Or perhaps one day a grin. "Fixin' to Die." That was the song and the sentiment today. Today's lyrics. Every good day got to have its lyrics, right, Ollie? This is today's. Delta Blues, some Mississippi misery coming at you, Ayatundi. You wouldn't like that, would you? Black guy, the blues man, sure he is, but not respectable like you, are you? Not respectable. Ronnie rasped the chorus. "Well, I'm walking kind of funny, Lord. I believe I'm fixing to die. Yes, I'm walking kind of funny, Lord. I believe I'm fixing to die." The replicant's name in the Blade Runner was Batty. What a name. Batty, a murderous android running down at last, haunted by the implanted knowledge of his own implanted expiry date. Well, Ronnie, too, he was starting to feel certain of his expiry date. retired miner. Perhaps the good citizens of Fresno and San Bernardino will put their hands together and give me a nod for digging asbestos out of their territory's mines. Open pit and underground. Your host Ronnie Bayer dug it and hauled it and tipped it. Ollie puffed quietly, and the sun moved across the horrible floral wallpaper in Ronnie's apartment, and he heard from memory, "I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark across the Tannhäuser Gate. All these moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die." Ronnie loved those words. He had bookmarked them on YouTube and compared himself turn and turn about with a dying replicant and with the clumsy human agent. He always sided with the replicant. What came was the ring, ding dong dong, that hated doorbell. Ayotunde stepped politely in, politely nodding and raising his polite eyebrows before asking, as always, "How are you doing today, Mr. Bayer?" "Dying, Ayo. I'm afraid I'm dying. Sorry to get the same boring joke every day." Then, tired, Ronnie allowed himself to see Ayo properly and sense Ayotunde's job and his commitment and his little Toyota and what family Ronnie had been able to discern somewhere behind Ayo out in Spokane's poorer suburbs. "But no immediate problem, Ayo. Not when you're in the room. Don't fret. Let's do your medical stuff, and if we're quick, we might find 2 minutes to watch the goal from last weekend, when Kolo Toure did that bicycle kick, sent the ball past Liam Kelly, put Real Madrid 2 up. I bookmarked it on YouTube. Fancy seeing that?" Ronnie closed his eyes patiently while Ayotunde washed and shaved him and moved Ronnie's chair back in front of the large computer screen that was Ronnie's fireplace, hearth, mantelpiece, and refuge if a hardback book became simply too heavy. Ronnie gestured at the mouse. "You do it, my fingers are useless today." Ayotunde clicked on the bookmarked clip. He pulled a packet of potato chips from his kit bag, tearing it open. "Salt and vinegar. Okay, Mr. Bayer? I hear about this goal already. I want to watch my countryman, my friend Kolo Toure, Ivory Coast man, over there in Spain, destroying your Glasgow Rangers." My Glasgow Rangers? I'm American. But I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Ronnie sank more comfortably into his cushions and snorted past his tubes. "Kolo Toure, a friend of yours, eh?" Ronnie squeezed Ayotunde's strong thigh. "Yeah, like my friend, Lionel Messi, eh? We all need friends, Ayo."
Wow, thank you, David. That was a tour de force. That was beautiful. And it seems like we have a little bit of a theme going tonight about mortality. I don't know, but that was certainly the capper on it. Beautiful. Thanks for that. All right, and my apologies to Robbie Van. We skipped right by. Karl got me afterwards, and he's going to give it to me later, I think. But anyway, Robbie Van's here live in Char's Landing. She's going to share some of her work with us. And for those of you who don't know, Robbie Van has evenings. Now, is it a regular Friday?
Last Friday of every month at Char's Landing.
Beautiful. Last Friday of every month at Char's, Robbie does.
And this Friday, it's going to be my birthday.
Oh,
so it's extra special.
Perfect.
So I'll have a half concert, and then I'll do the schmooze with everybody. That sounds like fun to me.
Excellent. 19 and holding, yeah.
I'm going to be 37, but I'm slightly dyslexic. Yes, sure. There we go. This is from a play that I'm wanting to write called Edgeworld, the Carrion Papers. And part of it is, section 2 is about vampires, and this is Vampira. The urges of the body can be resisted, but the urges of the heart have no antidote. The howl of the hunt, the scream, then it's still, the scent of the chase, the rapturous thrill, the sigh of contentment when blood's all been drained, but with the morning sun, he's human again. Who will I kill? Oh, it was a buck. Oh, good. Oh, you ever get one of those days that start out like this? No phone, no clothes, no shoes? I better get going before most of the folks are up and about. I hope I didn't leave him at the office. Let me think. Oh, that's right. I left him behind the club, Vampires. It's a good thing I know all the back ways through the area. That woman last night, oh my God, she was hot. And when we were dancing, oh my God, she could dance. She had me captivated until the change started happening and I round out the back. Vampira's red lights, red upholstery, Vampira herself in black and scarlet satin. She was fascinating. Is it bestiality if you have violent sex with a werewolf? Vampira smiles to herself in the mirror. Not a bad night, Wolfie. Made for an interesting hunt. A challenge for once. I loved it. I've got a feeling we'll see each other soon. Oh, well, it's off to my coffin for some shut-eye. I sleep like the undead for about 8 hours. Shopping, dinner, then off to the clubs for the night. I take it he's a lawyer. Oh, well. During the day and a werewolf at night. Was kind of freaky when his eyes turned yellow. Something to dream about. Good morning, my coffin awaits. Me. I'll see you later. The house is deadly quiet. When comes a knocking at the door. Vampira wakes from slumber. She could use a few hours more. Don't wake me early. Don't ring the bell. Don't disturb my rest. She grabs a robe through the door. I'm not even dressed. Thank you. And this is also part of that same thing. She's the queen of the night, her teeth sharp and white, the belle of the vampire's ball. Wherever she goes, all the suitors propose, and she doesn't have to try at all. Is it the air, her perfume, that just captures the room? The silence, they all stop and stare. Then the music plays on, they'll continue their song. But one of you'll be saying your prayer. I like to play with them, make them beg me to bite them. Oh, yes, it's so much fun. Dinner's waiting. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh, a cigar smoker. Delicious Cuban food is so yum. Smoke flavored, wine dipped. My fangs are salivating already. But hi, darling, just call me Queenie. I'm just here to give you the royal treatment. Her coffin's bright red satin, she's all dressed up in lace. She has a little chuckle, remembering his face. His eyes popped out when my fangs slit in, then the sweetest taste of all. I love it oh so much, oh yes, I made that mortal crawl. We're the undead, prowling the night. Once past the door, we feast with delight. We live like forever and need to be fed. We rule the night, we're the undead. Oh, the vampire's ball is rocking, we all just love to play. And while the world is working, we sleep away the day. When the sun is down and the moon is high, that's when we're on the prowl. She smells your blood, she'll feed tonight. Then comes the werewolf owl. Grr, I hate competition. He's mine. Claws off, dog boy. I hate the taste of fur in my mouth, but if needs must, I'll take you down, have you on a leash and begging before you can growl a protest. Don't test me, boy. I really don't like wooden stakes or holy water walls. Won't step foot on hallowed ground, there I'll never go. And the garlic smell that spores a scent, so acrid in my nose. I hunt the night and roam your world, I taste your sweet blood's flow. Eternity is endless, and it all becomes a bore. I need a little challenge. Now what am I looking for? If it's power, I've got plenty. I can hypnotize my brain. A banker's heart, heartbeat calls me, and I must be on my way. Good morning to you. Time for my beauty sleep. I've got a massage and facial later this afternoon. I'll be glad when it's winter. We'll have more time to play. I may go skiing with my friends. We need to get away. We can cruise the clubs and the music scene where the rich boys like to play. A magnet for the roving eyes called beauties on display. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robbie, for that tantalizing tidbit to get us primed for Friday night. Awesome. All right, James in-house is up next, and I think James is probably going to share some more poetry like he did last time, but I don't know. I don't want to put genres in his mouth, so we'll wait until he comes up and tells us. Yeah. Uh-huh. A little musical interlude. Okay. Well, good. Yeah. We got Peter Paul Van Camp back with his kazoo there and his harmonica. Just fill it in. But yeah, a little. Yeah. Mark would just strum us through, I'm sure, were he here, but he's off in Scotland. But we're hoping he'll be back next month too. There we go. James is at the right height. Laptop in hand. Yeah, thank you, Cam. Yeah, that was.
Oh, there we go. Okay, now? Oh,
That's
okay.
better.
But I wasn't able to finish, but I don't remember what I was writing or reading. So, and I doubt there's any kind of bass. I'm not too sure how many of you were here for that performance, so it really doesn't matter. But anyway, I'm going to read something else. Okay, I'm not even going to give context because it'll just give this away. Okay, so in a shallow mountain landscape with sparsely dispersed trees, I find myself on what appears to be a hike. On initial assessment, something tells me this casual saunter has more meaning. Although calm and collected, I feel my purpose here has fundamental importance, perhaps a mission to forage, gather certain items from the land. At the moment, I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. I simply walk. It would appear I would in fact be hunting for big game or simply trapping small animals. To be honest, I have no clue. It's as though I've been placed here, much like one is placed in a video game. No recollection on how I arrived or why. On further analysis, it's not like there's a rifle in my hands, nor trapping equipment, but that's not to say I'm not shouldering such items, because at the moment, my perception is basic and situational. I am aware of much weight, especially on my back, but everything I transport has little to no substance. It's there, I can feel it, weigh me down, but my perception, my perception in its regard feels fuzzy at best. All has value, this I know, but equally, in this very instant, none can be utilized, much less discerned. A very strange sentiment. Unable or willing to inspect, although I can barely transpose a single image, it's as though I've packed it all for nothing. It's just there, and I walk. Relaying zero value, none are my main concern. Either way, all seem trivial compared to my surroundings. This, where my main focus lies. Escorted by mediocre peaks and low divots, I reside in a gloomy but captivating landscape. The hillside, mostly comprised of heavy dismal pine, what I do know, here I am quite content. Furthermore, at peace. A tranquility only found in the deep depths, dark depths of wilderness. Adding to the pine trees and all their serene sensibility are mighty oak, As they themselves begin to define the terrain, I advance through the woodland. Intermediately, boasting depth and integral decorum, they now shade the forest floor with immense summer foliage. Throughout, I can't help but bask in the backdrop and as a whole in all its ominous splendor. In this crisp, cool surrounding, it appears to be early morning or late evening. Not sure, but I either come or go from its murky darkness. Empty-handed, I simply trek through unaffected. I can't help but wonder why I'm here. Is there a specific reason for my presence? What am I up to? Should I be doing something productive? Numerous questions rattle my synapses. All the while, I endure. If only for a hike, I'm bound. I'm utterly fulfilled. Worry-free, I continue, when suddenly off in the distance, I detect a tremendous rumble. At first, I think it's an oncoming storm, but when I inspect for further signs, I see no lightning, nor feel the smell of rain. Nor feel or smell oncoming rain, sorry. Neither a shift in weather, as there is no heavy gusts of wind. That said, with its unnerving sensation, I linger, free of concern. Why no misgivings? Especially as the commotion grows nearer, increasing incrementally to the point where I know I should be alarmed, but still I persist, unaffected, all the while locked in deep-rooted concentration. In time, I do eventually halt any further movement to properly assess the situation. Unlike thunder, this ruckus is constant. With every passing second and no break in its pulse, the sensation intensifies. Ultimately, the roar becomes so loud it reverberates through the trees, thus violently shaking the leaves overhead. If this wasn't startling enough, underfoot seems an entirely separate affair. I realize the two are connected, but none affect my person with such impact or potency. So profound the ground is literally trembling. Fiercely, it palpitates to the point I begin to lose balance. As intense as it seems, surprisingly, I remain stoic, with hardly any emotional reaction. Admittedly baffled, I simply take it in stride. Not to be fazed, I calmly look for a tree to hold tight. This alone adds to my confusion. Seriously, what the fuck? Shouldn't I be freaked out by now? With absolute passivity and detached demeanor, I guess not. Okay, staggered, I'm convulsed round and round. Heaved at will, I continue my composed attempt at stabilization. Searching for proper edifice, I do hope I can accomplish this in time. At a minimum, before it takes me over. Contrary to what some may proclaim, I'm not completely deranged. That is, not at the moment. My own opinion. Of course, I do understand the danger. How can I not? It's undeniably heading my way. Not to mention growing in exponential turbulence. Yet thrown to the forest floor, I find myself briefly wondering, with all this commotion, why not flee? Why am I so stubborn? Surely I face definite harm, and obviously I'd rather not succumb to an enormous thrashing. Hence, shouldn't I be a little scared? So why do I not fear whatever onslaught, whatever force irrefutably comes my way? Instead, I remain aloof, not sure I understand why. Feeling calm urgency, I do realize the time to retreat has come, but in my fixed intrigue, I refuse to budge. Then, as the tremors emphasize so tremendously, in fact, I'm finally able to snap from reverie. I must escape before it's too late. This I wholeheartedly know, and now is definitely the time. But before I can suitably act on this new level-headed impulse, the unthinkable bursts from the depths of the forest, and like that, at monstrous pace, a stampeding herd of bison. All around, hundreds upon hundreds hurtle themselves at close range. So close, I can literally feel their fur brush my shoulders and arms as they trample past. Astonishingly, how I remain unharmed, yet stand directly in the path of their charge. Miraculously, I just sit in amongst their process. Fuck. Seems like hours until the last stragglers emerge from the wood. Paralyzed, I watch, both mystified and thrilled by all I see. Inundated by primal emotion, but unlike before, I hardly notice the earth sway from beneath me. Neither do I notice my vision, as it's heavily obscured by residual dust. Fully submerged at the moment, nothing else matters. Nothing else can matter. Here and now, not even time holds weight. And really, how could it? In awe, whilst the last bison persist, my passivity continues to surprise me. More so, I'm amazed by my unwavering calmness. This considering the potential mare I could have received. Realistically, I should have received. Nothing seems to affect me. Not much as a cough due to the scattered dust. In fact, In regards to all aspects of this remarkable proceedings, I've barely felt any discomfort. What's that all about? With no bearing on my senses, nor this type of experience, I can safely say it as the events peter off and appear to conclude, I feel an odd security. Throughout, I never once thought I'd succumb to their ardent encroachment. Shocking, isn't it? That's just it. Despite the destruction, yes, I go unscathed, but most definitely I must be in shock. The only explanation for my blatant lethargy, zero factor, very strange, especially since witnessing up close and personal at their disposal the sheer force and destruction, the perfection imposed.
James.
So I'm like a paragraph away.
Okay.
So how have I avoided it? This, the real question. Yes, redundant are these inquiries. In reality, redundant is this entire section of text. This I know, but there's no way to trounce my mental loop. Stuck in place, alone, I continue my erratic internalization. As the debris subsides, I stand not knowing what to do. This, when out of the settling dust, a small baby bison comes rushing back towards me. Starting me in the process, it quickly halts its movement. Staring directly my way, it seems to have purpose. Not so much as a grunt, it denotes a strength I've never seen in a creature so young. Without words, holding ground just meters away, the bison remains fixed. This is absolutely incredible. Focused, it hardly moves a muscle. Motionless, it stands statuesque. Full intent piercing directly into my eyes, as though studying the inner reaches of my core and spirit. I now detect an air of impatience. It's made clear, direct and urgent. The seconds its hoof smashes the earth, I almost understand what's pervade. Good.
Thank you. It's hard to let it go when you can see the end inside. So, yeah, sometimes it helps to just go ahead of time and time yourself out. Read it and see where you hit 5 minutes, and then you have a sense. Yeah, yeah. Oh, good man. No worries. No worries. Yeah, yeah. Oh, good. Okay, and we have another in-house reader here. Don Skip is going to share some work with us. Come on up, Don. Ah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you were here in COVID with Bob Franco and read live. That's right. I'd forgotten.
Oh, you remember that?
Yeah.
I'm hoping nobody remembers because I'm going to do the same poem.
That's all right.
Version 2.
I'm old enough. It'll be like the first time. So don't worry.
Me too. Version 2. This is a poem called The Dreamer, a commentary on what is for many the modern human condition. A beautiful dream fades away. I'm snuggled and warm, but can't stay. I must arise and go to work. Like many, there are tasks that I mustn't shirk. Showered and combed, teeth brushed. I can't delay, must rush. Down the road to job not great, but have to do and can't be late. Arriving in the parking lot, I cruise the lane for an empty spot. Then coffee in hand and good mornings said, I take my place, emails read. 4 hours of work to start the day. But in my mind, I'm far away. 30-minute lunch break. Time for my sandwich and tea to take. Then 4 more hours. to end the day. Again, in my mind, I'm far away. Driving home through the evening commute, I seek the most relaxing route. Then, dinner done and plates away, I watch some dumb show or two teams play. Then, head on pillow, I reflect on the day. Life's not bad, just dull, it seems. Closed eyes, welcome, blessed dreams. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Don. That was sweet, and I remembered it a little bit, but I still had forgotten the end, so I'm glad you read it. Thank you. That was great. Okay. I'm going to jump up and close the night out. Right about there. Perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm going to share a piece of prose called What's Wrong with People? True story. All it took was the accidental tap of my car door on the extended mirror of his truck to wake the sleeping giant from the driver's seat and launch him onto the pavement. I never got his name, but let's call him Johnny Anyone, as he is in the many, as certainly as the many are in him. I'm so sorry, I said as I checked his mirror for damage, but my apology was lost in the stream of angry words gushing from his flushed face. You hit my truck, you fucking idiot. Why did you have to park here? You could have parked anywhere else. I sized him up quickly, 50-ish in a ball cap and a tight black t-shirt, clean shaven except for a little whip of a mustache, biceps that had bench press written all over them. My survival techniques kicked into full gear. Avoid direct or prolonged eye contact, apologize respectfully in a measured tone, repeat apologies with head slightly bent in submission and remorse. As he ranted, he started scanning his truck door close up, inch by inch, the way a parent would frantically examine a child's body for cuts after a nasty crash. It was clear that I had disrespected his precious baby, and he was hell-bent on making me pay for my disrespect. I'm very sorry, sir, I said. Sir is always a good choice when men are triggered. That's why cops always use it when they're asking for a guy's license. I caught the edge of your mirror here, but there's no damage, I said, just gesturing to the mirror in hopes that he could see for himself and maybe calm down a notch. But it was almost as if he didn't want to see me vindicated that easily, as if maybe he was just plain angry and happy to have a punching bag like me to take a few rounds out of. There's all these other places to park, but you had to come here and hit my truck, you fucking idiot. I kept my face serious and placid as the unmarred finish on the edge of his mirror, as his ranting worked towards a crescendo. I knew better than to react verbally or to smirk and let on that none of his blows were landing with any force. That's when he loosed his penultimate punch, the uppercut that was supposed to lay me out on the mat for the final count. What's wrong with people? He shouted. The irony of his words lost on him in that moment. Were I a black belt in karate or a champion sprinter, I might have tried to lecture him about the wrongness of verbally abusing senior citizens anytime, let alone for minor infractions that cause no harm, or the deeper wrongness that is endemic to our society where we value material things over our brothers and sisters. But something in that question, what's wrong with people, spoken with such anger and contempt, stayed with me long after I encouraged him to have a good day and carried on to do my shopping. I think of that culminating question he hurled as a carryover from my parents' generation, something spoken by them when they were thoroughly disgusted with someone's behavior to the point that their faith in humanity's future had been shaken to the core. I thought our generation had taken the power out of it by using it as an expression of overstatement for humorous effect. When someone does something obviously stupid, like sucking on a Tide Pod or suggesting that Haitian immigrants are eating everyone's pets in Springfield, Ohio, perhaps our faith in humanity's future was so badly damaged by the atrocities of the Vietnam War that it rendered the statement redundant. But obviously, it still held serious weight for him, or else he wouldn't have pulled it out and hurled it at me in hopes of making me feel badly about myself. Somewhere in his past, someone must have wielded those words at him, and they had stung enough for him to think that they would bruise me in a similar way. And someone must have taught him that it was okay to shout at people that way and call a stranger in the home hardware parking lot a fucking idiot. For him to be so angry, I have no doubt that those words were hurled at him when he was too young to let them slide by without sticking into his too thin skin and diminishing his capacity to love himself. And this wounding could even run deep enough that he would come to value his truck as something others might admire in lieu of admiring someone who doesn't admire himself or feel he deserves admiring. When I picture him now standing beside his big black Dodge, his face flaming with rage, I see a wounded boy screaming his pain through the body of the man he became, and I thank my lucky stars that I grew up without that kind of abuse in my life, in my early life. My wounds were more self-inflicted, the inevitable byproduct of perfectionism that left me powerless in the face of criticism for many years, whether it was justifiable criticism or not. So now I pray that Johnny anyone might find healing in this lifetime, that we all might find healing from those injustices, large and small, external and internal, that told us we weren't worthy of our own love and appreciation, let alone anyone else's. For in his wounding is all of our wounding to some greater or lesser degree. And I'm weirdly thankful to Johnny for holding up this mirror, for helping to remind me of this truth about what's wrong with us, that I might respond with love and compassion rather than react with fear and anger. Our failure to do so will only ensure that these wounds continue to be passed on down through the generations, with no end to the cycles of pain and suffering. Our ability to do so, on the other hand, could birth a whole new world. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. Well, it's the end of the evening, and it's been another marvelous, eclectic evening as always. And I just want to thank everybody for coming and thank our feature, Jennifer Wenn, for sharing her beautiful poetry with us. That was awesome. Thank you, Jen. Thank you to Victoria, our spotlight here in house. Thank you for that. And thank you to all the open micers who bared their souls to us this evening and shared their words. They were great. Let's hear it for them. Thank you, of course, to Char for hosting us, keeping it happening, doing all that technical work. Thank you. Thank you to Karl for moderating. Hopefully you won't beat me up for what I did with Robbie. We'll talk about it later. And thank you to Sheila for keeping us fed and watered. Kathleen and David for coming from Gibson's Landing all the way to Port Alberni. Yeah. Waiting in line for what, an hour and 3/4 while they cleared the accident out on the highway. Oh my God.
And thank you to Derek.
Oh, my pleasure as always. We'll be back next month, and I have to ask Karl who the feature is.
Lawrence Yomoki or whatever. I can't pronounce her name. She's been here before. And Karen Poirier as our 10-minute.
Beautiful. Awesome. It's going to be great. So woohoo, gluten-free pie. That's a lure. All right. So too bad for the people out there in Zoom land. We'll be thinking about you while we're partying up here at Char's anyway.
Go have some pie there, Leslie and Jennifer. If you have pie in the fridge, or just order some pie in.
Yeah, yeah. So in the meantime, everybody just keep writing, keep inspired, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next month here at Char. Bye-bye.